Summit India 2016, and with me I have Brent Stanford of Here Maps. What is your exposure in India?
Yeah, so we've got a very large footprint in India. So we've been producing maps here, driving the roads, building our own map, along with 196 other countries in the world. We've been here since 2006. We've got very large production centres in India with staff over 2,500 people. So it's a very, very large footprint in India. And we've got a full coverage map of India that's available both as content and in Esri shapefile format and most of the popular formats for Oracle, SAP, etc., but also available as platform services that are available in devices as SDKs or online for use on the internet.
The geospatial industry has seen more and more consolidation over the last few years.
Yeah, it has.
What does this trend indicate?
Yeah, actually there's a few underlying trends there, and one is globalization. Obviously today with large companies, it might be social media, it might be producers of consumer electronics, they're really looking at global sourcing. So typically they'll procure from one major service provider that has global coverage. And so we're seeing a lot of this globalization effect where procurement might occur, with car companies at one location and they deploy globally. So that's one sort of impact that we're seeing, globalization. The second thing is the rapid pace of innovation. And the rapid pace of innovation has allowed new market entrants who might have otherwise been small startups to get very massive market capitalizations very quickly. And we've seen that in the sharing economy space. Large players, like a classic example would be Grab Taxi in Southeast Asia, where they've got massive investment very early on, and it's allowed them to innovate at an unprecedented pace that in the sort of old world or old school industries, they may not have been able to accelerate that level of investment for an extended time. I think there's a third final element that we really see. And much like the Star Wars impact that we saw between the US and Russia many decades ago, where it was like an arms race, there's sort of this investment race occurring as well, where to compete today, to be able to deliver very advanced cutting edge solutions, including all the laser scanning like we see with our Reality Lens product, Data Lens, big data visualization analytics, etc. A lot of these new services are very, very expensive to build and maintain. You need global cloud solutions, very expensive. And so I think that's meant that there's been a bit of a consolidation as well, because not everyone can play that game today. Typically it's only the larger global service providers.
We have also seen an increasing trend of typically non-geospatial players moving into the area.
Yeah.
Here's acquisition is another big example.
Well, indeed, yeah. The evolution of our business. We've evolved since 1986 when we started in California. We went public and then we were acquired by Nokia, and most recently Nokia divested the business to focus on core networks with the acquisition of Alcatel-Lucent. And we're acquired by a consortia of BMW, Daimler and Audi. So there's obviously change in there as well. So, and obviously car companies are very keen on ensuring that data is open and available, not only to car companies, but others in industry, science, academia, research, government, etc., consumer organisations. But I think importantly, they also want to make sure that there is this underlying commitment to innovation to build the maps of tomorrow, the high definition maps that will allow things like autonomous driving. And so we're seeing an evolution of our business to respond to those market needs. I think importantly underlying too, we're seeing new non-spatial entrants in this geospatial area. A classic example, recently there's a company, Doucir, in India, who developed a connected footwear. Now, fantastic altruistic goal that they had to deliver footwear to blind people to aid in navigation. So the shoes can vibrate when you need to turn corners. And so it's a smartphone connected footwear application, highly innovative, built here in India, but going out to the world market. And so we're seeing a footwear company get into the geospatial domain where historically there was no connectivity apart from running applications like. So very fast innovation, accelerated innovation occurring globally.
So over the last few years, maps have become more an integral part of our lives.
Yeah.
More because of internet, mobile devices,
absolutely,
and social media.
Yeah, and so historically we saw the printed map and then a digital version of the printed map, so digital cartography, which was really more like sort of PDF overview. it then became slightly computable in that you could do routing. And so, we were really leading a lot of the innovation in this next generation of computable cartography for the likes of car navigation, smartphones. So Samsung, for example, preloaded with the HERE application, the Samsung smartwatches with mapping on board. So we're seeing a good innovation pathway there. But I think moving forward, it's now gone beyond the traditional cartographic into things like machine to machine. And machine to machine could be a meter, it could be a tag that you use to locate a pet or find where your lost keys are, but it could also be the connected car of the future. And the connected car is changing very rapidly. So it used to be location, it might have been fuel status, or I need a service, so there's an indicator light has come off what they call the CAN bus in the car, and it might be through a ODB2 dongle, bit of technical jargon there, but getting information out of the car. And as the car has become increasingly connected, the type of data that can come out of the car has also evolved. So we see things like, might be wiper status, it might be the suspension status to indicate where a pothole is, to alert a government department. It might be that I'm now using my anti-lock braking system so I can forewarn cars coming around the corner that they need to slow down. So they're very deep embedded mapping that used to be display maps. Now there mightn't even be a map is seen at all. And we see this in geocoding, with the likes of Facebook to check into a location, that flicks you off to the HERE location cloud. And so some of those elements may or may not even display a map. So very different from the cartography of the past.
So many traditional players these days say it is the consumer market which is driving the geospatial market now, the consumer trends and demands. Automated cars is one example, social media and location is another.
Sure.
What would you say?
Well, it's a very important part of our market. We've got sort of three principal markets. We've got the consumer market, the automotive market, and also enterprise. And enterprise is very important. Enterprise also is evolving at really quite a rapid rate today. New products that we see like Reality Lens. Reality Lens is a visual view of the street network, which we call street level imagery, but it's connected with the point cloud. And it's interesting, even in the Asia Pacific region, and it's also an important mechanism to understand what the baseline road network is in order, when they apply investment, it could be World Bank funding, it could be domestic network funding, in order that they can understand where they need to best invest the funds and then understand was the work performed that was invested in. Now that can also be applied in other areas, can be applied in geointelligence. One of the other meetings that we've got here, of course, is the GeoInt Summit, but it can also be applied to utilities as well. What is the location of my power poles? Where are my wires? Are people using the power network illegally? Are there illegal connections, etc.? And what's the condition of the poles and the assets? So utilities is another example of where enterprise is innovating at actually quite a very rapid rate. So they've got technical terms like traffic-enabled matrix routing and different words we use. But fundamentally, it's another example of enterprise. So logistics, track and trace, fleet mobility, utility management, etc. There's a very broad market segment in the enterprise space today.
What are the new business opportunities in the area of location intelligence and new areas where it can be implemented?
Yeah, they're so very, very broad, the areas that you can apply, spatial intelligence today. I think that we're now seeing particularly a movement toward the data analytics, so spatial data analytics for more rapid visualization. We've got a product called Data Lens, and people can check it out at datalens.here.com, and there's APIs that you can access for rapid data visualization. So that's one area. And I think moving beyond that, it's about deep learning as well. And deep learning we'll see in that automotive use case example of cars that make decisions themselves. It might be turn the wipers on, it might be slow down, it might be go into regenerative braking mode on the top of a hill. But we'll also see those in the enterprise space as well. So there are a couple of trends that we're seeing emerging at the moment. And I think really richer and more engaging use by government departments in spatial data. And understanding that, yes, they may have had maps that they've built themselves in the past and that those maps do serve a very valuable purpose. However, industry is also innovating and investing at an enormous rate today, and government has the opportunity today to leverage the industry investment at, I must say, quite low cost and apply those to solutions for government. And therefore, have the government services availed to the masses on popular smartphone platforms like Android and iPhone, etc., and get those out there in the people's hands and get them engaging. We see a big progress toward open data, and we see this open data movement is a quite a profound change to the way government may consider not only the solution provision, but the way they manage data. And so harnessing the potential of that great capability of spatial data in a way that's more consumer friendly is really important today. And that's typically, smartphone, tablet, web environment that historically may have been a little bit staid, but today, consumers expect to be able to pinch, tilt, zoom and multi-touch devices. So we've got a lot of services in that space that the government agencies, but also industry can avail themselves of.
How would you say the user behavior has changed over the years?
Oh, well, look, it is so dramatic. Some of the devices we've got on the show, again, the Gear VR, the virtual reality, augmented reality, where you can pick up a phone and look around you in video mode and see points of interest. The pace of change is so dramatic. And what is really heartening for the spatial industry, from my perspective, is every day we see enormous innovation coming in. We get to talk to all sorts of different companies, from the developers at Hackfest, government departments, etc. And there's one common thread there, that the innovation, and it's a very human desire to innovate and create. And that is there today at a fantastic pace. So we can certainly see that many more innovations will be coming out very quickly.
So what are the new business models that have emerged, particularly in the area of new geospatial content generation?
Yeah, I mean, indoor is one area that's really exploded for us. So we've got a venue map product that takes the car navigation experience or pedestrian, multimodal journey planning, public transit, etc., takes that right into the venue, including the ability to route through a venue, not only geolocate you in a venue, but route through the venue. And so venue maps for us is a very exciting area for shopping centre managers, for hospitals, for airports, and for sporting facilities where, it's great to be able to assist people to their seat or assist them to part of an area where that otherwise may have been quite difficult to explore. Now, along with that, in the venues example, if you've got accurate guidance and location in a venue, not only you can get consumer advertising and consumer services, product finders, etc., but you can also get fantastic service delivery in terms of mobile worker management and utilities asset management.
Would it be right to say it is systems integration and solutions which is driving the market now, rather than just content?
Well, I think they really work hand in hand. The content providers have to respond to the market needs. The system integrators, the solution vendors, or even the companies that self-integrate and innovate themselves, certainly, they're very demanding on providers. And we see this with this globalization effect I talked about earlier. They want to deploy a product, they want to know that they can scale it globally, not just in one country, but many countries. So there's a great pathway for developing the business. And so as a content provider, here Maps have to respond to that need constantly, innovating and creating.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
My pleasure, and thanks for having us at the event. It's been a pleasure to be here.